Welcome in, everybody. This is Neil with Neil's Meals. I love having y'all here. Tonight is another We Need Cookies. Obviously, we don't really need them, but, we want them. So then we need them. Tonight we'll be doing a chewy maple cookie recipe. It's an interesting cookie because it doesn't have a lot of instructions. And also, for chewy maple cookie, I don't expect it to call for coconut, but it does call for coconut. Welcome in, Dark Passenger, Merrick, Flaming Baguette, Jay Fries. Good to see you all. There's always a need for cookies, that's true. So it gives us a temperature of 375, so let's set the oven to 375. Let's start that going. And I'm going to pull out a couple pans and a couple pieces of parchment paper. I try to set all of this up before I stream, and then I forget something as basic as the parchment paper for the trays. So I store that over here off camera, so I will come over here and get a couple pieces of that. So we have some parchment paper and we need some pans. We have some pans. And I just lay that in them. And that's usually enough. So we'll set those over here. Wait for our oven to heat. And now we will grab a bowl. Into our bowl, we're going to put some shortening. So here I have some shortening. This shortening comes in sticks, which makes it a little easier to deal with. This is a little lid that clips on to store it. All right, so it calls for half a cup of shortening, so that's half of this block. So what I'll do is I'll just open this up and put in half a block. Seems like they don't do very well at getting it all in there. All right, we'll do that, and we'll then just fold this back up. Sort of wrap it up a little and put it into this little container. Oh, well, thank you for subscribing, Mr. Mad Mothy. I appreciate it. 3 months of goodness. That's right. Let me just wash the shortening off my hands a little. And wipe it off the counter. And we'll put this little lid on top, and I'll use that in something else. Okay, that's fine. Lurk all you wish. We'll be here. If you want to say anything, go ahead. All right, so now we need a cup of brown sugar. So we will add a cup of brown sugar. My brown sugar is a little running out, so I'll have another box there. Let me get a measuring device. so I'll pour this brown sugar in here. Which probably isn't even a half a cup pressed. Maybe. I'm using dark brown sugar in this because, well, you know, it's possible it'll overpower the maple, but that's fine. But for chewiness, you want the higher molasses content, I think. All right, between this and what I have on the paper towel, that'll be enough. Hopefully that'll get what's on my hands off. All right. Let's see, I should throw this away. And I will take this and put this in this bag. Oh, thank you, Merrick. I don't know what a golden trap kappa emote train is, but I hope it works. Thank you, Evil Bud, for the bits. I appreciate it. I don't know what exactly that little heart is, but it I don't know, it kind of looks dirty to me. All right, so we're gonna cream this together until fluffy. For that, I'll use my hand mixer. All right. Should have undone the cord. Y'all are so good to me. While I fumble with stuff like this. There we go. right, that's about as fluffy as I think that much fat and sugar are going to get. We should scrape down the bowl a little bit and then put in the egg. Let's put in the egg. I've got a egg in a little dish right here. Let's wipe off my fingers. All right, so that came together pretty good. We'll scrape the sides of the bowl so we get it back in there. All right. Just trying to get the stuff off the spatula here. You want it in the bowl, right? All right. So we've done that. Let's try doing that. Yeah. Okay. And we need the syrup and the vanilla. So we have some vanilla. I have a bottle of syrup. We need a half a cup of maple syrup. Let's see. That's just a quarter of a cup. We'll need this. For a sticky liquid like this, I like to use a measuring cup like this because it sort of scrapes the edge, and then you just scrape the flat surface, and you get all of it. It's good for like honey or peanut butter. Oh, well, welcome, Earth Toast. Thank you for raiding in. I'm Neil. This is Neil's Meals. Let me go to this one here. I'm making Chewy maple cookies. Thank you for raiding in. I love having you all here. Welcome, Earth Toast and Love Hemi and The Perfect Drug. What were you doing? All right. That's our half a cup of maple syrup. We'll just scrape it off a little. Oh, okay. This is a recipe that my sister found from people that were selling maple syrup. So, you know, I've tried another one of these recipes, and I didn't think the other one was super successful, but I have better hopes for this one. So we've put in the syrup. So far we have in a half a cup of shortening, A cup of brown sugar. I used dark brown. 1 egg, and a half a cup of maple syrup. Oh, a vegan cookbook. Cauliflower steaks with Italian basil. Parsley salsa verde with beans. Oh, that does sound good. I mean, I'm not much of a vegan, but that sounds delicious. That was half a teaspoon of very carefully measured vanilla extract. Okay. So now we're going to beat that in again. Yeah, I have a lot of cookbooks, but I have a tendency to use them more as an idea generation point than to actually make the recipes in them. All right, that looks great. You could boil that and you'd probably end up with candy. Let's scrape the bowl down just to get all of that off. I understand, Earth Toast. Thank you for rating in, and go do what you need to do after your stream. I totally get it. Sometimes I have to run away when I raid because I have to eat what I just cooked. All right. So the rest of what we have here is flour, salt, and coconut. Oh, there's not even baking soda in this or anything. Okay. All right. All right, so we're gonna do some flour. And it calls for 1.5 cups of flour. Let me get my little flat edge. And I'm just gonna do half of this cup. Yeah, that looks good. All right. And into that, we're going to add some salt, a half a teaspoon of salt. All right, that's got the salt. And then I kind of debated on this. What I've got is sweetened coconut. It calls for a cup. And I kind of debated on whether I should use unsweetened coconut or sweetened coconut here. And I went with the sweetened coconut for 2 reasons. One, it's what most people have access to. And 2, I think, that tends to be the most moist. So that's 1 cup of coconut, and there's a little bit here. I'm just gonna do that. All right. And I'm just going to take a spoon and stir that. This here. So I've got this here. This is coconut and salt and flour, and I'm just going to stir this together. Try to get it incorporated. Normally I would whisk it, but I think with this coconut, there's not going to be a clumping problem in this. All right. So we've made that. I'm going to whip this up a little more because there's not any other leavener in it. So it's going to have to be whatever air we work in here. So I'm going to really whip this. Okay, so that looks like it's bulked up a little bit. Which is good. You know, you want it to be good. And then I'm going to add these dry ingredients to it. And then try to mix this together with the spatula. Kind of try to scrape it off here. All right, I'd say that's combined. That looks like a dough to me. All right, so we've made the dough. All right, so we've made the dough here. So let me just pop those off into that bowl and set this over here. Now, we have no instructions as to how this is baked. We don't have a time. We don't have what size they're supposed to be. So I'm going to do some interpretation here. If they're chewy, you probably want to maybe underbake them a little. I'm doing pretty well, Lennox. Just trying to figure this recipe out. Let's see. I'm going to use this scoop here. This scoop here, which I think is a tablespoon or two. I have a smaller one, but I think those might be too small. So I'm just going to make lumps on this tray. I don't know how much these will spread. Well, we did get a temperature from the recipe. We got a temperature of 375. Here, I'll put this here. And here. And here. And here. And here. Because I'm kind of trying to get a gauge of how much these are going to spread and how they will come out. So I'm going to put them in the oven, and I'm going to give them 10 minutes before I look at them. And I don't want to do up another tray until I determine if these are too big or not. But I would agree with you, Bud. I would normally probably take these at 350. That is a very safe temperature to go with any cookie. Some cookies, I was going to go back and see if I could find the picture of the recipe, because this is a transcribing from the actual, just a picture she sent me. Sorry, I know this is scintillating, but I have to go back quite a ways. Oh, here it is. Chewy maple cookie. Oh. Oh. All right. Let's do this. Let's take these out. I'm glad I looked at the picture. Because these are supposed to have leavening in them. So let's see if we can scrape this dough back in and remix it. So I guess I did that for a good reason. Thank you, Bud. All right, how can I get these off? Let's try spatula, maybe. Or let's try 2 spatulas. That might make the most sense. Well, this is a new one for me. I haven't had to do this before. It's these moments that give me, you know, some compelling content here, all right? This is a mistake anybody could make, and, you know, you're not always fortunate enough to catch it right after you put that batch in. All right, I think I will take this off, and we will use this pan with a new piece of paper. Let me get what it calls for. Pull this pan off. This is hilarious. Can't believe I did this. All right, so we'll go back in there. And we're actually going to go back to the mixer. Let's get that out there. All right. All right, let me get this little plate out. It's just a paper plate. All right. All right. Let me rub my finger off on a paper towel there and get this little bit here. All right. Let me get my mixer back. And so we need some, we also need, that I forgot here. Let me check the picture once again. No soda, just 2 teaspoons of baking powder. All right, I'm gonna use the mixer since I can't mix this into the dry ingredients, which are already in there. Just so I can get it well dispersed, because you don't want to hit a pocket of leavening. All right. Let me get a teaspoon. One teaspoon. All right. Well, I would call this a good catch. Hopefully it doesn't make these weird. There's one. There's two. That is true. One stream I had. I'm gonna just turn this on. One stream I had, I sort of burned it all. Partially into cooking. And so what I did in that case, well, and those of you who've been here a while might remember, is I picked it up off the stove and rinsed the burnt part out and continued with my recipe. Give it a stir again. All right, I don't think we're any worse for wear here. And now we have leavening, which is good. You know, leavening helps. These would have probably been very dense. All right. All right. Put this piece of paper in this pan and use our thing here and rescoop them. And they will spread more now because they have baking powder. All right. We'll put these back in the oven. And reset the timer for 10 minutes. Okay. Well, that's not always what you want to happen, but I think we're in a good spot. I don't think we, you know, I mean, I might have had to remake this, but I think we're okay. Let me wash my hands. And let's put a few things away that I don't need here. We can put this eggshell in the trash. Well, you know, and now that I think about it too, this is good that this happened. Not necessarily good for me, but good for y'all. And the reason I say it's good for y'all is some people would have considered this unrecoverable. And it totally appears that it's not. Sometimes cooking is just an experiment, and you don't know what's going to happen. And sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. But it's not that you know, it's any sort of contest or anything. And you shouldn't feel bad about it if a recipe goes wrong. I mean, sometimes, you know, I've made something and we've had to throw it out and call for takeout. So, you know, it all happens to us, is what I'm saying. None of this should be life or death, right? This is just cooking. This is just cooking. And there are people who try to tell you that there's only one way to do something, and they're wrong. There are multiple ways to get to any path, I think. There are some that would be considered correct. But, you know, those people who think they're correct aren't always correct. I don't know if you remember in any math classes, there were often some different ways to get to the same place. I think it's just like that. All right, I'm going to put this back in here, but I don't want to spoon any more of these out till I see how these came. And yes, I have a holiday paper plate. Okay. All right, so we're waiting for that. I should make a note of that. I'm not sure what that emote is. Oh, okay. I'm glad you liked that. Thank you, Lanix. Yeah, there weren't any more instructions, though. I just missed 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So let me get a pen and make a note of that on my sheet. I got a pencil. All right, because that, you know, is something I have to correct later on. Have a sip of my drink. So yeah, my sister has sent me different recipes that were my grandmother's, and some of those have been super successful, and some of them I haven't tried yet. She sent me these from the Maple Company. Well, it's not called the Maple Company, but it's people that were dealing in maple syrup. And one of those I did that was like a maple oatmeal cookie didn't come out with butter in it. It came out as like this weird sort of butter oatmeal brittle. I mean, it tasted good, but it wasn't right. So I remade it with shortening in it, and it seemed to work better. There've been a few times I've tried to use butter in a shortening recipe, and it usually just doesn't work. And I know there are adjustments you can make in it, but it's sort of inconclusive without making a whole thing of cookies. It smells good, though. The batter smells good, so hopefully these turn out well. Maybe I should. Maybe I should start doing more. I don't like to taste batter with an egg in it. I know that there's some people that will. Let's just say I don't super trust the provider of my eggs that much. But thinking about that, like, I probably could start making some recipes that are from someone else. I mean, like, these have not all been my recipes. Some of these have been my mother's. Some of them have been sort of stuff I have done. Most of the like dinners are mine. Most of the baked goods have been somebody else's. But the fact of the matter is, I know from watching some people who do sort of cooking through time, is that there aren't a lot of new recipes or new methods or new creations. I mean, there's sort of when stuff gets introduced, like there was at one point, cakes were all yeast leavened because that's all there was. Or they were done, by whipping egg whites and folding it into the batter. And then, in the 1860s and 70s, I guess, around that time period, you started to see baking soda and then later baking powder. And, it's funny, like around that time, there were a bunch of sort of like paper cookbooks that these baking powder concerns put out, talking about how other people's baking powder were tainted and only theirs was the safe brand to use. Probably they were all fine, but in that time period, everyone was very careful about something being pure, like. Well, the classic example is ivory soap, right? It's 99.44% pure. I'm not sure what it's 99.44% pure of, but, that was a huge selling point for it when it came out. They're flattening out. So it was good to space them apart that far. I should get a rack out. Here, I'm gonna put this over here and get myself another piece of parchment paper for the other pan. I have some silicone mats that I got for Christmas, but I need to wash them so I can use them. All right. And I was going to get a rack out. Timer's about to go off. Now, all right. Let's take a look. Yeah, I think those are good. They're browned around the edge. That's usually what you want. All right. Let me put the camera on those. So that's what they look like, sort of flattened out, but that's fine. They don't jiggle. So let me put on some more here. Might do them a little smaller. All right, so I'm doing another pan of these. I think 10 minutes is enough from the looks of those. We'll put those in the oven. Give those 10 minutes. All right. They look pretty good. Let's see if they're... Yeah, they come off. I think these you're going to want to cool first. They're very large, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes a big cookie is good. All right. And then we've got this last one. Well, if the little crunchy part that I just ate is any indication, they're very good. All right, let's do that. Because I just realized y'all are looking at nothing. And that is no bueno. Actually, I should just bring them over here, shouldn't I? So y'all can watch them. You can see them cool. Let's do that. So there they are cooling. They've got... Okay, I will. I mean, I think these should cool probably before you do it. And I'm kind of letting this other pan cool before I put more on it. because you don't necessarily want to put cookie dough on a hot pan. Shouldn't take them too long, though. They should be kind of moist. Well, they're supposed to be chewy, so we'll see if we made chewy. You like that moist, don't you? I don't know where that emote comes from, but these are so thin, probably we can do a taste of them. So I guess, yes, that's time for the taste tester.
Super taste tester.
Here, why don't you?
Oh, they're flat. They're very flat.
They're very flat.
I mean, I could tell that from the camera, but
Yeah. They taste very good. Mm-hmm. They don't taste super mapley.
no.
I think when they're cold, they'll be chewy. Well, they're kind of chewy now.
Mm-hmm.
They taste kind of butterscotchy.
It's pretty good. Very, very good.
Mm-hmm. I think they'd be better with a little bit of cinnamon in them. Although they're lovely now.
Pretty good.
If you ever sucked on a butterscotch candy and wanted it to be soft and chewy, go ahead. I mean, he ate 2 of them, so they can't be so bad.
It tasted like another.
No, I get it. So, I guess unless you want them smaller, or you want them to be thicker, then just follow this recipe and you will have these. And they are, surprisingly, having no butter, very buttery. It's funny though, you don't really taste the coconut. You can detect it, but I wish I could get, at the very least, smell-o-vision. But those turned out very well. I mean, the taste tester ate 2 of them. That usually doesn't happen. All right. So while we're waiting on the timer, we'll scoop out some more. I know, I can hear it. All right. So we've got some to go in and some to go out. Well, those were a little too close to the edge, but... All right. These look similar to the others. These maybe look a little drier. Yeah, it might. I mean, there's a few things you could do to mitigate this, right? Usually it's the butter that's making it spread. I could have done it on an ungreased cookie sheet, but it may have stuck pretty bad. I could have halved the brown sugar and put in white sugar, and white sugar would sort of inhibit the spreading some. A little more flour would probably help. A little less leavening. I mean, part of it, I think, is it's, you know, 2 teaspoons of leavening in a cookie is a lot. Normally, you don't want a super lift in a cookie. Chilling the dough, though, would probably lessen the spread somewhat. That might work better in this case than it does with butter, because shortening has a higher melting point. But it's possible that this was just too wet. I mean, it is pretty wet and sticky. Also, probably making them smaller would probably help. But considering that I put them in originally without any leavening and took them out and scraped them off the pan, I think I'm doing pretty well. They seem a little darker. Well, no, they're about the same. Let's see how these come off. Bless you, sugar. All right. You know, it's funny. I put this thing in the center, and it moves around on my head. Yeah, they come off all right. These might have gone just a little long. Or the other ones went too short. I'm not sure. And it might have worked a little better if I'd used light brown sugar. I used the dark brown sugar because of the molasses, thinking it would make it a chewier cookie. Maybe that made it spread more too. All right. I had to make a little room on my rack over there. Okay. Yeah, that's hotter than I want to touch. Put that back on this rack to cool down a little bit. Come back to the front. So I'm not super worried about them being like this. They taste really good. But I could probably work on them some and make them a little more agreeable. I've tried chilling. So the reason I sort of dismiss chilling the dough is I've tried that in situations where I've had tried to use butter instead of shortening in a dough, and I chill it thinking that'll help, and then it spreads just as bad. Well, making them as big as I'm making them, it's not going to make very many. There's not a lot of stuff in this recipe, like not a lot of flour, or it doesn't really say, but I guess what he ate 2, and I ate 2, I think. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 14 over there. There's 9 more in the oven. And then I've got probably enough for a few in the bowl. So maybe 25 or 30. So, I mean, you could definitely, I probably should have used a smaller scoop and maybe cooked them for less time. And then there'd be more of them. Oh, 27? Okay. Because if you made them smaller than the scoop, they might be more tidy, and they might, and you'd probably certainly have more. But, you know, there wasn't much to go on with this recipe, so I was guessing. $25 or 6 to 4 or 6-7. Sorry. I guess I've been infected by the meme. I'm sorry, the tests have come back and you have meme infection. They're tasty though. I mean, I'll take it. I'll take something that doesn't have a lot of instructions coming out that well. They may be ones that I make for a specific person, or if I don't want a lot of cookies around. Because I can tell you that since I've been doing this, I've gained a little weight from eating these cookies. Okay. Does this cool down some? Yeah, this is cool down enough. But I'll take these out first. And anyway, you know, cookies are fun. I thought about doing a cake. Or maybe biscuits. Maybe I should do biscuits. Would y'all rather have a cake, cookies, or biscuits from scratch? Let me know in the comments. Well, not the comments, but in the chat. Well, I know what your answer is, Jay Fries. Like, that's not a surprise. And you can have them anytime you want. You just have to ask for them. Oh, we have a Siamese cookie. All right. Biscuits. You've been wanting to make molasses cookies? I've made molasses cookies, basically. They were those spice cookies I made. Let me set this over here for a second. I'm gonna scrape my bowl a bit. Try to get the dough, get the most cookies out of this. All right. I paid for those ingredients, so I want those cookies. I think that's probably all I can get out of it. All right, so I guess next week I'll do biscuits, if my buttermilk is still good. Or maybe, you know, I could do this one of two ways. I could just make biscuits. I could just make biscuits on a Tuesday and say we need biscuits instead of cookies. Or on Saturday, I could make biscuits and sausage gravy. I guess it would depend on what you wanted. Hey, Adsky, how are you? Biscuits and gravy for dinner? Well, I knew I'd talk you into that. So we're making chewy maple cookies that don't seem super mapley. There they are. You see I got a Siamese one there. We'll have to do a little operation here. Okay then. I guess the plan for Saturday then is biscuits and sausage gravy. And the biscuits will be from scratch. And so will the sausage gravy. I will warn you that my sausage gravy is usually not white because I make it in the pan that I cook the sausage in. No, we shouldn't have those microaggressions like that, honey. All right. Just rearrange some here on the tray. And then take this one all the way back. That's right. Microaggression. If there is such a thing as a microaggression, I have had them all my life. Some little cookies here. Cookies are good. All right. An American biscuit can probably be mostly compared to a scone. However, in a scone, they will never, unlike a scone, they will come shaped usually round or square. I make round ones. There are people now who basically try to make, well, to me, what they're trying to make is they're trying to make a croissant biscuit. One of those extremely layered, flaky biscuits, and they won't cut them in a circle because they won't flake up as much, and I don't want that. That's not, to me, what a biscuit is. I mean, I like some flakiness in a biscuit, but I'm not trying to make, French pastry out of it. Yeah, they're usually almost sort of savory, and they're enjoyed with butter and jam or with sausage gravy or what I would call cream gravy, which is really just milk gravy. My mom would make dinner, and like if she did something like she fried pork chops or chicken or cube steak, she would make biscuits, and she would make gravy from the drip in the pan, and we would put it on some of the meat and the biscuits. I'm not as good at it, but well, I could show you a picture of one. I think there's one on the box of the stuff. So sometimes I make biscuits that are just that are not from scratch. They're just from a mix. So I have this mix here. And those are biscuits. You can make a bunch of different things. This is called a baking mix. The well-known name of it is basically Bisquick, but I seem to like this brand better. I think the Bisquick is kind of gummy. And those are drop biscuits. That's not what I usually make. What I make is you roll them and then you cut them out. But they're soft, sort of like a quick bread, because they're baking powder biscuits. I'm looking for my little cutters, yeah. So I usually make them about that big around. However, my mother always made them that big around. Yeah, it's well, it's not super savory other than it's got some salt in it, and that makes it a little savory. It doesn't go there. Sorry, I was having to fight my drawer. So yeah, we can plan for that. Biscuits and sausage gravy. I guess I'll have to get like some fruit or something to make it a complete meal. Because I don't think I can serve green beans with that. So they will be, I could also do scrambled eggs. You know, I mean, sometimes with biscuits and gravy, you just have that. We could do a tag team stream and we do breakfast tacos. Well, no, I wouldn't. Hey, Scotty, I'm making Chewy maple cookies. So I make scrambled eggs that do not have excess liquid, and the key to that, to me, is not cooking them too hard. Like you don't. If you have to leave the heat pretty low. I put in a little bit of heavy cream into the eggs, and then I stir them pretty constantly. So it's not like the French eggs where they're like a sort of almost a sauce. You get pretty small sort of curds. And you don't usually get egg water if you don't cook them too quickly. So usually you get egg water if you're, oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you, Lanix. That is so kind of you. I really appreciate it. I hope you've been enjoying this stream. So in my experience, you only get the egg water if you are cooking them too fast, if they go from liquid to solid too quickly. And where that comes from is basically you're tightening those egg proteins so much that they're squeezing the water out of the eggs. And then your eggs seem sort of dry. And it's harder to do that if you have a lot of them. Oh, it's ready. All right. This is the last pan of them, so I will just turn off the oven. They look pretty much like the others. So as you can see, they look pretty much the same. Which is to say delicious. I don't know. They are a little on the plain side, but that I can't tell if that's like a good thing or a bad thing. So in these cookies are half a cup of shortening, a cup of brown sugar packed. I used dark brown sugar, 1 egg, a half a cup of maple syrup. I used a dark maple syrup, half a teaspoon of vanilla, 1.5 cups of flour. Oh, wow, a raid. Thank you, Play It, Jason. It's so kind of you to do that. We've been making cookies, chewy maple cookies, and I was going through what's in them. So we've got a half a cup of shortening, a cup of brown sugar packed, 1 egg, half a cup of maple syrup, half teaspoon of vanilla, 1.5 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, and 1 cup of sweetened coconut. Hey, Julia. Let me see. So we got Play It, Jason, Julia, the honor. Deb says hi. Hey, Deb says hi. Thank you again. Thank you, Play It, Jason, for subscribing. I really appreciate it. I can't believe I've known you for 3 months. Oh, and the Eldon raided. Wow. And thank you for subscribing, Julia, the nerd aunt. Hey, the Eldon. What were y'all doing? Were y'all were playing a game together, I think, right? If I remember correctly. I know Play It Jason was playing with somebody. Soulframe. Oh, good, good. I don't know that I've ever seen that. Well, we've been making cookies here, and so thank you, Deb. Y'all are so sweet. Oh, Soulframe just came out. Okay. I'm a cooking streamer, so I don't play games on stream, so I don't keep up with them as well. I'm back to playing Fallout 4 again. It's in development. Okay. I was playing Schedule 1 for a while, and that's still in development. It got to be too tedious. Part of it was that I was too nice, though. We were going down what's in these. We've got half a cup of shortening, 1 cup of brown sugar packed, 1 egg, 1/2 cup maple syrup, half a teaspoon of vanilla, 1.5 cups of flour, half a teaspoon of salt, and 1 cup of coconut. And the only instructions I had were cream the shortening and brown sugar until fluffy, beat in the egg, syrup, and vanilla, add the dry ingredients, and bake at 375. So I used a pretty big scoop. It's probably 1.5 tablespoons or 2 tablespoons. And that's why we have such big cookies. And it was pretty sticky and spread like this. I understand, Play It, Jason. You go do what you need to do. Thank you so much for rating. Any y'all in the stream who aren't following Play It, Jason or the Eldon, y'all should go follow them. From the raid earlier, I'm terrible at remembering names. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Jason got this for me for Christmas. This and the little Neil's Meals sign. I thank y'all so much for rating, too. I understand if you have to rate and run. Believe me, I've done it enough myself. Yeah, so that's the last batch out. Let me stack these up over here. And take these off this pan. All right, got a few more of these. Paper always moves around on me. They're pretty flat, But they're nice and buttery and chewy. They sort of taste butterscotchy. I haven't had any of these later ones, but all right. I'm sorry if that was not what you wanted. So these are all the cookies it made, minus the ones that Jay Fries and I ate. They're very delicious. I do recommend this recipe. I don't believe the Eldon and I have ever met, so he doesn't know much about me, probably. So I would recommend this recipe. I will be posting this recipe to YouTube like I do with all of my others. And I put the recipe in the description. I also put my recipe on my Discord, and I would encourage you to go join there. I've got all the recipes from my streams except for ones I couldn't come up with recipes for, because there are a few of those. But I'll post this with the YouTube video and a picture. Could also find me at other locations on that link tree, which would include like Facebook, Blue Sky, or Instagram. Instagram is probably the one I go to the least, so. But I mean, at this point, we've baked these cookies, so there's not much left to do. But thank you so much for joining me here. I really love that I can come here and have y'all with me and experience these sorts of things. I'm sorry I cannot push them through the internet. I haven't found out how to do that yet. I've got people working on it, but you know, they're also tied up in other things. So let me find someone to raid out to. It always wants me to go to that hot dog cart in Hong Kong, and I'm just like, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. Okay, I think I found somebody. We're going to go to Taste by Tosh, I think. They're making dinner. All right. So we're going to do that. Thank you so much for coming to see me. Oh, Jane Henry is live? I can do that. I can cancel it and do Jane Henry. I didn't see her. Cancel raid. Raid. Something went wrong. Search. There she is. Let's go to Jane Henry. We know her. And she's really sweet. She's making soul food. Vietnamese minced beef noodle soup. That sounds delicious. Let's go see her. Jane is really sweet. I think y'all will enjoy her. So again, thank you so much for visiting me. Like I said, I will put all of these up on my YouTubes, and again, here's my Discord and my link tree. So if you want to communicate with me off stream, you can do that. On my Discord, you can go to Neil's Meals and see these. You can go to your meals and post anything you'd like about what you're cooking, somewhere you ate dinner, anything at all. And there's also a recipe suggestions, and if you want to suggest a recipe for me to cook, go there, post it there, and I'll do what I can to get it on the stream. Y'all have a great rest of your evening. I love you so much. I'll give you the heart that I have so much trouble making with my hands. And be sure you eat something good, love yourself, and take care of yourself, and have a good night. I'm pushing y'all off to Jane now. Bye-bye.